Hey guys, it's Caden. Welcome to another Autism Digest interview. And my first has a college graduate at that, where today we'll be talking with an amazing author. She's written several books, several that are in the background there, and one based on Beatrice Potter, which a lot of people have grown up with. She is Lindsay Metcalf. Thanks for coming on, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me.
All right. My first question for you is for those that may not know you, do you mind telling a bit of your story in your own words?
Sure. I am a children's author. I write for kids as young as preschool all the way through young adult. And I live in Kansas, grew up on a farm, and went to college for journalism and then decided to move into writing for children. So that's where I am.
And that's a great place to be. He has come a start with sports journalism personally, so I highly respect that industry specifically. My next
Great.
question for you is, do you have any experiences interacting with the neurodiverse community that you want to discuss?
I'm just sort of connecting with the community at large as we speak. I've written a book, or I've co-edited a book called No Brain the Same, Neurodivergent Young Activists Shaping Our Future. It's a poetry anthology for the picture book audience. And I come from a neurodivergent family. My, we have autism and ADHD in my immediate family. And just sort of exploring what it means to be part of the larger community. So we worked with poets across the spectrum for this book, featuring young people, not just autistic young people, but people with all sorts of brain differences who are making change in their own communities. And then we matched each activist with a poet who shares something with that activist. So all neurodivergent poets, and pretty excited to share the book with the world when it comes out on June 2nd.
Well, by then, this interview should be out, so I'm glad you were able to get that plug in. That's actually a really good concept for a book. I think
Thank you.
we need that for all marginalized groups. Just take someone who's well known in that community specifically and pair them with a poet that's also in that community. So I'm glad you're pioneering that, which transitions beautifully into my next question for you. What role do you think literature plays in shaping public understanding of neurodiversity?
I think it's huge. I think uh, there's a there's an academic named Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop who said in a paper years ago that books act as windows, mirrors, and doors for readers, right? If it's a window, the reader is looking through it at something that they're not necessarily familiar with, but they're seeing the world. If it's a mirror, it's reflecting an experience that's similar to theirs back to them. And if it's a door, they're walking through it and they're coming into a whole new empathetic and understanding of something. And so I think for neurodiversity, having books that reflect the vast array of brains, out there, really helps kids in school, not only neurodivergent kids, but their peers accept them. And we're in a space right now where I think you're seeing more books about neurodiversity for young people. Um, there are not very many nonfiction books, especially biography type books about neurodivergent folks. And so that's why we wanted to write this poetry anthology because it shows lots of different people. It's features, I think, 14 or possibly a few more. I haven't counted for a while, but yeah, it's a broad range of folks, and hopefully anyone can pick up the book and feel some inspiration from what they're seeing on the pages.
That's the goal at the end of the day with any form of art form, I think. You just
Hmm.
need to feel inspiration with what you listen to, watch, or read. So I definitely agree with that. And I love that metaphor you used, which transitions into my next question. Speaking of misconceptions, what are some common misconceptions about neurodivergent individuals that you think books like yours can help challenge?
I think one misconception is that if you are neurodivergent, then it's, I think people focus a lot on the disability, and this book focuses on strengths that folks have. So it shows that despite disability, we can find our strengths and use those in different ways to not only help ourselves, but help others as well. So I think it should be empowering for anyone who reads it.
And I look forward to seeing the impact that book makes. I absolutely
Thank you.
agree with you. Yeah. Going back to biographies for a little bit, my next question for you is, how can nonfiction and biographies help neurodivergent readers feel seen and validated?
Well, I think if you see stories about real people, it shows that there's people out there who are experiencing something similar to you, but also who are, it's showing someone who's in a similar situation, but maybe doing something different than you are. And it may give you ideas for how to move forward in your life, or I don't know, it might just also feel validating to see a story that's similar to yours.
Exactly. A bit of a story for you relating to that. In high school and middle school, one of my biggest influences was Hunter S. Thompson, and I related to him in a way. We were both rebellious at the time. We both spoke our minds, and we both didn't care what other people thought as much as we said. So I can definitely relate to wanting to get into journalism because I saw another person doing it. I really like that perception, which leads to my next question for you. Speaking of schools and libraries, how can libraries, schools, and literary organizations better support neurodivergent readers and writers?
I think, okay, you said libraries, schools, and literary organizations. Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Um, yeah, I think number one, supporting books that are available, because there are a wide range of books and I'm in the children's literature community, so I'm thinking about children's books, but this applies for adult books too. I think, finding those books and putting them in your collections is, you know, the first thing you should do. Um, Next is making sure your space is welcoming and available for differences. Having quiet areas, or I'm not an expert in developing spaces that are neurodivergent friendly. I just know my own experience and my family's experience, but I think just making it feel welcoming for all people would be helpful.
That's the goal at the end of the day. Hey, that's why I loved going to my library when I was in grade school every day. I felt welcome and I felt safe there, and it was an amazing escape from the craziness that was middle and high school. Well, which leads to
Absolutely.
my next question for you. Looking ahead, what kinds of neurodiverse stories would you like to see more of in publishing?
I'd love to see more nonfiction because, like I said, the majority of books for kids, as I'm speaking again with the children's literature that I am familiar with, the majority are fiction, which they absolutely have a place in the market and they're valuable. And I'm not saying they're not. I think having more true stories about people is so important. Moving beyond your Greta Thunberg and your Temple Grandin, they're also amazing people, but we need to know about there's more people than just those two who are autistic and awesome. We do have nonfiction stories about autism, of course, but many of them are more like self-help or helping you understand the condition a little bit better. And so I think just more biographies would be great and more nonfiction.
Exactly. And also how had that schools should make an effort to include more neurodivergent friendly publications like our publication, Autism Digest, in their sex, and so people can learn more about, like you're saying, and the influential figures within the neurodiverse community beyond the Temple Grandins and Greta Thunbergs and David Byrne, which
Yes.
leads beautifully into my last question for you. What does inclusive storytelling mean to you personally?
It means to me personally that people like my family can see themselves in books. Um, I think I grew up on a farm and I didn't know I was neurodivergent. I'm still not diagnosed, so I don't know what I am. I just know I'm different. Um, I think just having stories of people like me reflected on the page would have helped me believe in myself a little bit more. It would have helped me accept where I'm from. The farm aspect, I didn't really think that I wanted to be anywhere near the farm when I grew up because I was reading about people in New York City in high rises. And so I think I don't really quite have words for the neurodiversity aspect of my personal experience because I'm still finding my way there. But definitely, if I had more books about that, I would probably find my way a little bit faster. So I think,
That's amazing. I'm glad with how far literature has come in the sense of inclusion, but like you're saying, we still got a lot of work to do, and we look forward to being on the lookout for your book come the second. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this interview, guys. Thank you so much to Lindsay for coming on and sharing her perspectives. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Autism Digest channel. Our newest issue, centered around the arts such as literature, is out now. You can get this by going to autismdigest.com and stay tuned for the audio file of this interview to be posted on our Spotify. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.